afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Rivlin. I'm Rivlin Marks, and let's take a look at today's top stories. Well, we've been waiting for, I think, over a week now to find out who would be the leader who would be charged by the president with forming the next Israeli government. And last night, President Rivlin called both Kachol Levan head Benny Gantz and Likud leader Benjamin Netanyahu to his residence, and he tapped Prime Minister Netanyahu with the ginormous task of forming a government. So what has transpired since? Well, apparently unity talks stalled, and Benny Gantz is alleged to have said that he would not join a government headed by Netanyahu, or at least a coalition with Netanyahu, while the Prime Minister is still facing charges. He said it's not a personal thing, but it's an issue of wanting to weed out corruption. However, Likud officials say that they are prepared to enter into an agreement that entails a revolving premier, and it gets even more complicated today, with Benny Gantz saying, at least in the last hour or so, that he's appealed to Prime Minister Netanyahu to start unity coalition talks without apportioning or assigning ministerial portfolios. He said, right now we have to focus on the substance and not who gets what portfolio. So before we horse trade, let's talk tachlis. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what we want to do. So it is an unenviable task, and hopefully one that Prime Minister Netanyahu will succeed in. If he doesn't succeed, there is the possibility of President Rivlin charging somebody else with forming the government, and if that doesn't happen, there is a possibility that Israel would go to a third set of elections, which is a scenario that nobody wants. And also today, with regards to impending indictment charges, Prime Minister Netanyahu has appealed for his pre-indictment hearing to be broadcast live. He says it's enough of conjecture, it's time for people to hear his side of the story. Well, one side of the story that the United Nations very seldom takes is the side of Israel. And on Monday, they published a report that is quite out of the norm from what we expect from the United Nations. And just the other day, the majority of Israelis voted the UN, basically the organization that they least like or trust. But Special Rapporteur to the United Nations on issues of discrimination and anti-Semitism, Rapporteur Ahmed Shahid, released a report that blasts the United Nations basically for their stance on BDS, for their stance against Israel. And the report concludes with the statement that BDS is inherently anti-Semitic, and in the report they cite both extreme right-wing anti-Semitism, neo-Nazis, the alt-right, and also the far left, which includes the BDS movement. So very, very unusual for the UN, and we hope it's one that they're going to take seriously, especially in light of some of the speeches that have been taking place at the UN General Assembly, and in light of resolutions that they pass time and time again against the state of Israel. And while we're talking anti-Semitism, we have to speak about Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, who is known for his appalling comments against Jews, and yesterday was no exception when he addressed students at Columbia University in New York City. And he said that why shouldn't he be able to be anti-Semitic? It is free speech after all. And what is frightening is that this was met by appreciation and applause by students. Well, I would like to ask the Prime Minister, or at least Columbia University, would you host a neo-Nazi, or would you host a leader from ISIS to come and address students at your establishment? If not, then, why aren't they covered by free speech? Or is this kind of hatred only exclusive to Jews? Well, enough about that. I want to take the opportunity to wish all those who are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, Shana Tova Metuka, May you all be inscribed for a sweet year and a year of abundant blessings. And if you're looking for reading material over this Chag, look no further than our website at www.layoftheland.online. You can read a whole host of different articles on a variety of different topics. And don't forget that if you're more social media inclined, you can find us on Facebook at Lottelsat. Like us, follow us, invite all your friends too. Or if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's also very easy. Simply look for the Israel Brief and click on the subscribe button. I'm Rivlin Marks, wishing you Shana Tova and also Shabbat Shalom.